excited that you're back with us again for another segment of Meet My Mississippi Authors and Artists. Today we have another amazing author with us, and she's going to talk about what she does. But first, like you know, I always let them introduce themselves to you. So who are you?
Well, my name is Jessica Starks. I'm from Pontotoc, Mississippi, born and raised. I'm a creative entrepreneur, I'm an author, and I just love being creative.
Wonderful. Tell us where you grew up, how many brothers and sisters, things like that, where you went to high school.
Okay, so I was born in Pontotoc. I went to Pontotoc City High School, class 2013. I have three older sisters, Miranda, Larissa, and Gabrielle. And we're a close-knit family. We all are pretty creative. One of my sisters, she sells jewelry. She loves jewelry. My other sister's a photographer. My other sister's a chef. My parents love to read and write, and my dad likes to write songs. So we're a really creative family.
Yeah, because sometimes when I look, I say, what is it she doesn't do? She's doing some of everything. When I'm talking about my friends and authors, I always try to go back to where I kind of met these people. So I ran across you like I do a lot of people on Facebook. I was looking for someone to help me promote, trying to get my poem as a state poem, and I found out you were a blogger, and that you promote small businesses, and you have a business that help people promote their books and businesses and stuff. Okay, let's go to that first. Tell us about when that started. Why did you get the idea for the business that you have? How long have you been doing that?
Started freelancing when I was about 17.
Okay.
And then once I graduated from college, I graduated from Itawamba Community College.
Okay.
I started just mostly jumping in as a freelance writer.
Okay.
And then maybe about a year and a half, 2 years after I got out of that, I decided to pursue marketing.
Okay. Now tell people what a freelance writer is, what you do, how you get paid to be a freelance writer, how they pick that up for magazines or whatever. Tell people for that.
So a freelance writer is basically a writer that kind of is out there on their own. They don't necessarily work for like a group or a business
or whatever it is.
They can get jobs wherever, or they can get on a staff, but they kind of like they're independent contractors. So I started out, I mostly did articles, like I would do pop culture pieces, or I worked for like a fitness site, just kind of wherever I could be. And then I got into a space where I was working for celebrity clients, so we would do kind of international work, and that's how I got into marketing. So I would see that they would do blogs, or we would create memes, or just social media content, and I realized that I really liked doing that, and so I wanted to bring it local, because a lot of times when you look at that type of marketing, it's really expensive.
Okay, now let me stop there. Now you know I have a lot of older fans and stuff, and I am totally computer illiterate. So tell them what a blog is. I had to learn these things, so I know that a lot of people do have no clue what a blog is and what memes are. So just explain it to them so they know what you're talking about.
So a blog is basically like a journal, but it's online. You kind of can write whatever you feel, whatever you want. You can have a certain topic that you talk about, or you can talk about whatever comes to mind. But yeah, it's basically just kind of my personal space where I can write about anything that I want.
And then you get followers because they're interested in what you're talking about, and that's how you get your work out there and what you're interested in, because there's always somebody who's interested in what you're trying to tell and what you want to do. Okay, now go on with the business. Now, how did we get to that? Marketing.
A lot of the marketing that the company that I worked with did was really expensive. And I realized that I could bring that back to my hometown without it having to be so costly. So that's where JD Scribes came in 2016. So with JD Scribes, we do anything from content writing, we manage blogs, we create social media content, websites, social media, pretty much anything. If you need it, pretty much we can do it, or we can show you it.
And for the artists and authors out there, everybody needs somebody to help them promote and get it out there. If you're not computer literate, you have to have someone like her to write these things up, get it out there, to even know how to upload it. Because I've even asked you, like, what? I have no clue what you're talking about. I'll say, send you a message, what do I do? And you say, oh, well, I can do that. See, that's what you're there for.
Right.
For people who have no clue how to make a graphic or what exactly. Okay, so tell us your website name, JD Scribe. Spell it.
The website is jdscribes.com. That's JDSCRIBES.com.
And if they want to know about what to do with their promoting their book or promoting whatever they're doing, they just send you an email,
right,
or whatever, and look on there and look at, and then you'll just kind of tell them, throw out things what they want to do.
Right. We have a free 30-minute consultation. So we kind of sit down and we talk about, what your goals are, what you're trying to do, where you're trying to go, and we kind of help you create a strategy based off of that. So after that consultation, we just get to work.
Wonderful. Okay, now when did you start JD Scribes?
In 2016.
Okay. And what was the most difficult thing about having your own business and just getting it rolling and getting it out there?
The hardest part, I would say, was just my age, because I'm 24, and I was younger then, so a lot of people kind of looked at me like, is she really going to do it?
Right.
And also I graduated from ICC, I didn't go on to university because I was starting my business, and a lot of people, they were trying to tell me, well, you should go on, but you don't always have to. Like they say, college isn't for everybody. You don't always. And you're going to college to try to do what you want to do. Right.
So that's why you're
kind of been working on it anyway.
Right.
So, and I knew I always wanted to be a writer. So I just knew I had to go out there and do it.
Okay, now tell us about Bond, the group that helps the entrepreneurs and the writers and the people to understand what's going on and be a network. What is that all about?
So Bond, in a way, is an extension of JD Scribes. It's a promotional, networking, and developmental organization. And basically what we do is we try to build a community of small business owners, because I know for myself, when I started out, it was really lonely. And so you want to have those groups of people where you can come to and say, okay, I'm having issues with a customer, or I'm feeling stressed, or I just feel lonely, and I need a community that can help me. And so what we do with Bond is we provide resources for them to advertise. We help them build their brands, where we allow them to speak at events. And we just help them learn how to be a better business.
Okay. And that's a wonderful thing you said about being a community, because it can be lonely. Another author was talking about that, because people don't understand what all it takes to be an author or an entrepreneur. It is so lonely, because people think, oh, she's got a book, she's making millions of dollars, but there's so much footwork to it and so much background work to it, and haters and people who don't like your stuff and trying to put you down with what you're doing. But you have to have people to push you on, to say, hey, you can do this. Let's just go through the little highs and lows of it. Okay, let's go to that writing. When did you decide that you were going to write this book? Where did the concept from this book come from? The picture on the front, because I'm like, wow, that is really, wow. Every time I look at it, I'm like, wow. Okay, wow. Okay, so I didn't want to touch it with a 10-foot pole. I'm like, okay, the lynching calendar. Tell us about this and why.
Well, it's funny because you said wow, and that's exactly what I wanted it to do.
Yeah.
Actually, I wrote this book originally in high school.
Okay. Oh, wow.
I was a senior in high school, and I don't know, I have, most writers may understand, but I have inspiration in random places. So for some reason, I don't know why, I wrote the entire book in my first period statistics class.
Wow.
I don't know what it was about.
You said, I keep saying wow, wow, because this book is just like grabbed me like, wow, what, wow. An African-American woman writing about this lynching calendar, and then the graphics of it, it's like, okay, tell me what you are talking about.
And so I've been doing genealogy as a hobby for 10 years. Well, I started when I was 10. I did it. And one particular story that I found out about a distant cousin of mine was about him being lynched. And he was 17 years old. And so when I read it, it just really stuck with me. And then I just kind of one day I was just sitting in the class and I just kind of just got this inspiration, and so I started writing it just thinking about him and maybe what he would want to say or what he would want to tell people, and maybe what the viewpoints of the people involved were.
And where was that and why was that? When was that?
It was in Lafayette County.
Okay.
I believe it was in maybe the mid to late 40s. I believe he was accused of assaulting someone, and they were transferring him to another jail, and he was attacked by a mob.
Right, they happened a lot.
Right, and he was actually burned.
Okay.
And so I was reading the articles, and it always stuck with me, and I wanted to kind of tell his side of the story. And so I started out with that story, and then I just kind of kept going, because initially I was just going to write it from his perspective.
Right.
But then something, I guess, just kind of was in my mind, like, but what about the other people that were involved? So I wrote his perspective. I wrote from the perspective of the person that accused him, and then the perspective of two of his relatives. So that way you could get a whole picture of what was going on.
So the whole story of the lynching calendar, tell us, what is the whole synopsis of the book like?
So, as we all know lynchings were horrible. We all know what happened. But a lot of things that people forget is that things weren't always black and white, so to speak.
Right.
A lot of people that I know of assumed it was an African American male killed by an white male. That wasn't always the case. People were falsely accused. Some people were guilty. Some people were accused by other African Americans. So I wanted to use this as a way to kind of share those different stories, because the book holds 5 stories all told from very important views.
Okay.
Yeah, so I just wanted to educate about, how complex that part of history.
And it is set in what, 1940s?
It goes between 1911 to about 1946.
Okay, and the main character in the book is, although you talk about each one has its own
each
little,
one has its own character.
Very good. How long did it? Okay, you wrote the whole thing in a statistics class.
Yeah.
And people don't hardly believe that when I say that about my poems and stuff. It's like when you're inspired by something, you can just write it. And that's just, it's like, I don't believe that. It just comes.
It does, because maybe in a semester I finished it. It really didn't take me long. Once I kind of got flowing, it didn't take me.
And when people say there's a book inside, there is a book inside. It's like you had that story in you. So it's like, okay, I'm going to get that little story out, because it's something that's kind of nagging at me that I want people to know.
Right.
So what has been the feedback of the name of the book cover, all of that? Because I want authors and artists to know all of that plays a big part in fetching people, getting people, drawing people into what your world of what you're trying to do.
Right. So actually, I had the title before I finished the book. Again, it just it was just there.
That's what happens with my poems. I get the title and the poem all together. So I don't even have to. So yours just kind of
works that way. And the reactions, people kind of like you, they were scared.
Yeah, it's just a weird feeling. It's creepy. It's like, really?
Yeah.
Really?
It's a tricky topic.
It is.
But I've always loved Southern Gothic literature.
It's all of that.
Right, and so I just really wanted to just give that kind of haunting.
It is all of that, because every time I pass that, I'm like, wow, Jessica, really? I mean, how you doing it? You don't do that, but, because I'm all about Mississippi Magnolia. It's like,
and the interesting thing about this is, too, it's not all based in the South, which I think a lot of people assume about this.
That's what I try to tell people. We don't have a patent on lynching and all that kind of stuff, and we just don't have a patent on that racism at all.
It happens everywhere. And so that's kind of what I wanted to show too, that it's not just the South. It can happen everywhere.
Authors love to educate, but people need to know authors love to educate, they love to entertain, and they do it together. That it's educational, it's literary, it's entertaining, all of that, because people love to read, so that's entertaining. As far as wow, is it gonna grab us and we're gonna be like, what?
Yeah.
Is it really gonna? Because I'm scared to even. I ain't read the book yet, y'all. I'm just saying, I've got to read the book. I'm gonna read it, but it just calls you.
Yeah.
It's like I have to read that book, and I have to have that book. I'm telling you, and I can see that every character can get its own book after this.
Yeah, and that's kind of something that I've explored, kind of looking more into their lives before this happened, or maybe even after. But I want it to be more of a conversation piece.
It is already, without even opening the book. I'm telling you, it is that.
And that's kind of why I made it shorter, because it's a heavy read. And so
you can tell that even before you get in there. It's just like, this is my book today, y'all, so I'm going to let y'all know about it, because I'm taking this and I'm going to let y'all and let my mama know, because she will tell the truth. I have an 83-year-old mother, and she'll be like, okay, okay. So believe me, I'll give you the book.
Yeah, it'll definitely give you something to think about.
Really?
And that's kind of what I want to do with the cover. Just kind of not give you everything, but you kind of get an idea, because you can see on the cover the names are etched, and those are each of the victims of each story. So you kind of can get to know them a little bit even before you open.
And I love the fact of how you grab us when we don't want to even be grabbed, because we don't want to touch that.
Yeah.
We do not want to touch that.
Right.
But the thing is, you have to explore our history, the good, bad, and the ugly.
Right.
Every person has a good side, a bad side, an ugly side. So why are we so scared to say, you know, when people talk about Mississippi, all they want to know is the bad stuff.
Yeah.
Okay, there's a flip side of the coin. Are you scared to say that Mississippi is good? People either want one or the other.
Right.
It's not. There's nothing in the world like that. It's not just black and white. It's not just all this or all that.
Right.
So hey, we need to know the good history of the South and the North and the lynchings and all that. Knowledge is power.
Right, and a lot of the stories are things that happen now. You know, because it hasn't necessarily stopped.
Absolutely.
But even just the small things that happen led to these people's lives being lost. These are things we still deal with.
Absolutely. And that was somebody's family.
Right.
Just like your family today, that you can look at your sister or brother or whatever. That's just like the person you sitting by right now, my mom or dad or brother or sister. These things happen to real people.
Right.
You know, so. What is your passion the most? Writing, or your businesses, or helping people with their businesses? Which one? Your business, or helping people with the bond thing, or writing?
I would say, well, at the heart of everything is to help.
Yeah.
But I know writing is
your
my
thing.
Calling. Yes, that's been the centerpiece of everything.
I love that. I love that.
So even if I wanted to get away from it, I know I couldn't.
And see, I love that. You need to know what your passion is, because one of my very first interviews when I did my first poem in my first book, they asked me, well, how do you identify yourself mostly as an African American, a Southerner, or a writer? And I immediately pushed out the author part, because I said I'm not a writer at all, really. I don't see myself as a writer. I started after 40 doing what I do. So there are people who start like you. It's just in them. They write. You cannot stop writing. Like there are people who dance who cannot stop dancing because that is who they are. It's a part of you. You're a writer. So I love that, and you need to know that's a part of you. And then you write, and then you help people to do what they love to do. Because guess what the worst thing is about authors? They're scared to get their stuff out there.
That's true. That's why I think it took me so long.
And it's like a baby. We're scared, and it's like, what are they going to say, and how's it going to do? Who cares? We talk about that all the time, and I say about there's always going to be haters. You have to find your tribe. They told the Star Wars guys that is never going to work. J.K. Rowling, I always get her name wrong. What is it? J.K. Rowling? With the Harry Potter, she said she got so many rejections, it wasn't even funny. They were like, that is too weird. It's just weird. We ain't going with that. Okay, so it's like, how you like me now?
Right.
You know what I'm saying? It's always going to be that. You have to learn to be you, do you, and know that, hey, I have something to give to the world. And this is your thing. How many of these books have you seen with that title and that look and that story? How many? Okay, so it was for you to do that, right? And it's for you to have us to read this so we'll know, okay. Because I'm serious, when you put it up there, I'm like, all right, wait a minute. So this going to stop people, and that's what you want people to know about promoting. And when you go to a bookstore, you want them to be like going through and then like take a step back and be like, okay, wait a minute. You know, you want them to like all those books. How you gonna go in a store that's got thousands and thousands of books?
Right.
And that's what I did with my first book. It was like I would just hold up these two pictures and I'll say, what do you like about it? It was crazy because I was in the bookstore. They said, it's going to be really crazy. I said, man, would you stop and tell me what you think? And I hold up this picture and that picture real quick. I said, which one did you like the most? Just a second, you know, because that's how long you have to grab somebody is a second when they're just glancing through a bookstore. And they told me, and everybody loved the cover, but you have captured that. Because it is catching and it is haunting and it knows that you have a story, and then those names that are on the tree. And what is the calendar? What's the calendar thing about?
The calendar kind of has more than one meaning because one being that they're all in different time periods. Because a lot of people that I've known of thought, oh, they were all in 1800s or early 1900s and they stopped. They never really stopped. So it's kind of showing that it happened in different time zones and that it's constantly going on. So that's kind of the double meaning.
Okay. Now tell us again about, but we're going to go back from the right again and go back step until we, so tell us about Bond and give us that website again as far as, how can someone be a part of that entrepreneurial group?
Well, Bond actually stands for Business Oriented Networking and Development. And, you know, again, we are promotional, we build community, we also give back to the community. And our memberships are $65 per year for every business owner. With that, you get a business listing, you get exclusive discounts and merchandise, you get free access to all of our events, and we're constantly adding new stuff. And if you want to be a member, you can join by going to bondsmallbusinessgroup.com, and you can just sign up and explore our site and learn more about us.
Okay. JD Scribes, look it up on Facebook. That's her business. If you want to know anything about promoting your book or business or whatever, she'll give you a consultation about what she can do for you, and give us that website that they go to.
That's JD Scribes, JDSCRIBES.com.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for coming and being with me today. And I told you I have amazing guests, honey. These people know how to do some of everything. You will be surprised at who I'm going to bring up in here. Thank you for coming again with us to Mississippi, meeting our Mississippi authors and artists.
It's inside me, girl, it's in the air. It's who I am through and through. It won't take long.